Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Sorry again for the delay. I was working on tweaking and editing the videos. And I also don't want you guys to think I forgot about the questions that you guys asked me on Instagram. I have selected a very good question, one that I felt was very appealing to the topic in the previous video. So I'm going to read the question. And the question is, how did you first develop a relationship with God, and what made you so consistent in the church? And we're gonna call this story time because it's gonna be a long story. I'm gonna make it short though. So how I first developed a relationship with God, first and foremost, I always felt like he had favor over my life. Now y'all know, us black folks, sometimes only go to God, or we start praying when we broke, going through financial situations, going through a bad breakup, or having a certain type of sickness. That's when we turn to God, or we feel like we're at our lowest point. And I'm not gonna lie, my lowest point was when I first started being consistent with God. So I wasn't broke, but I had a bad relationship. And it wasn't necessarily bad, it was just the relationship was taking a toll on my spirit. So you know how you can be with somebody and they can be good to you, but they're not good for you in the spiritual aspect. And due to the fact that I hadn't yet developed a relationship with God, I really didn't know what was taking a toll on my spirit. So long story short, I had a cousin. Congratulations to Rain and her new baby. My cousin Rain, we grew up together, and Rain, younger, was always, a little different, as we all have our little journey, and we hadn't spoke for like a year. So when Rain, she came to my house, and we just catching up. You catching up. She's telling me about her life, and her vocabulary changed. Like everything changed about her, and I was so intrigued by that. But what it was is she started consistently going to church, like knew the Bible, like off the back of her hand, like everything about her changed, and I was really admiring that. So in the midst of us catching up about her relationship with God, I was telling her about the relationship that I was in, and certain little things that he was saying to me that I thought was intellectual or deep, but me telling it to her, she expressed to me like, he said what? He said what? Like, that's not nothing that like somebody should say to you. I'm not gonna say exactly what it was that he said, but long story short, she introduced me to fasting, and she said you should go on a 7-day fast and write down a list of 10 questions you want the answers to. You give up to certain little things, which is something that I still implement into my life to this day. So when I went on a fast, I didn't talk to him for that time being. And it was a question that she asked me, like, have this person ever said the name Jesus Christ? And I'm like, honestly, no. We never had like a spiritual conversation. At this point, I was like 18, 19 years old. So I went on my fast. At the last day of me going on my fast, he had called me, and I told him, I forget the exact conversation, but I asked him to say like something Jesus Christ, and it was just like he wouldn't say it, and it threw me way off. You get what I'm saying? But on a side note, in the midst of me dealing with him, like he was good to me, but I remember a time when I had left him. I was on my way to work, and I had just began to cry, and it was just weird because nothing was wrong with me. I ain't had nothing going on, no current situation, but I just was crying, and to me it was like a soul cry, like looking back, like what are you crying for? So that's a side note. So one day, the apartment building that I was staying in, God works in mysterious ways. I had my first apartment when I was 17 years old. I went to so many apartments in the downtown Detroit, and this was the only apartment that accepted me. And the lady was kind of like, she knew she was working with me. So I stayed in this apartment for about like 2 years, and it was a church that was like, this is an apartment. The church was like right on the corner of the apartments I stayed in. So throughout the 2 years of me living there, I ain't gonna lie, I never went to the church. So I had that situation happening, and it left me feeling so uneasy. Like, what have I got myself into? Like, who am I dealing with? So I went to church. And my first day at the church, I had on like hats, glasses, big old jacket, just in my zone all the way in the back. And the first time I went to the church, when I say I'm in there crying, like I felt the spirit, like it was just like I needed to be there. You know what I'm saying? Like kind of like a renewal in my life, And it kind of like fed my spirit so much. And I'm like, oh, I'm going back next Sunday. So every single Sunday when I'm wet, I'm in the church crying. Like, it's really speaking to my soul, you know, relating to my life, kind of like opening up a new door for me, kind of like helping me build my spiritual relationship with God. So in the midst of me going to church, this was like the best thing, because I come from not having a mother and not having a father. So that relationship with God, with him not being here in the physical, it kind of like, I started developing a different type of mindset. And in the midst of me going to church consistently, I developed a spiritual conscience. And I like to call my spiritual conscience being able to hear from God on a different level, like telling me when I'm right, when I'm wrong, or sometimes it's gotten so deep where sometimes he'll tell me to do stuff for other people, whether it's to pray for somebody or to give them this or to give them that. And once you're able to hear from God, it's like one of the greatest gifts and something that you never want to lose. So I'm going to church consistently, let's say for like a month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever the time frame was, and I developed this spiritual conscience. And then I called myself trying to be the nigga. You know how we be like, oh, I'm just gonna hit him up for sex. Like, I'm gonna be the nigga this time. Like, I'm gonna hit him up for sex and I go talk to him again. So I called myself doing that. And when I say the next week, after that, I lost my spiritual conscience. Like, no longer was I hearing from God. And it drove me crazy. Like, I wasn't hearing from him anymore. And I used to have to pray off of me, like, you know, forgive me for that. So sometimes looking back, like I said, this is my spiritual journey. I look back and it kind of let me know the importance of soul ties and engaging in sex with people that's not meant for your spirit. Not saying that everybody that you have sex with is going to be perfect, but when you already on your spiritual journey, sometimes you can have a guy that's really not even into God or got so much negative energy and the demons, like that little, what's the little diagram they had? Like, stuff like that is real. And I experienced it myself, you know, when I was able to get that spiritual conscience, and just by me engaging in sex, thinking I'm young, about to play the nigga role, and I lost it. Of course, I gained it back throughout the years, but to me, as a woman, next subject, this what makes it so important for women to understand and to be very cautious of the guys that you have sex with, because we already battling with our own demons, we already battling with our own spirits and, you know, our own situations. And when you engage with sex, whether, pause though, because I don't even want y'all to think that this is just for the females engaging in sex with the women. This is for the men too. Y'all got y'all demons, y'all journeys and stuff that y'all going on, and y'all are very lustful. So sometimes y'all will engage, y'all will engage in sex with a woman just because of her visual, not taking it into consideration her inside, like what it is inside and the different things it is that she have going on. So for me, that point in my life, I've been had low mileage. You hear what I'm saying? Been not just out here everywhere with everybody, but it also, as I grew older, it made me cautious of who I deal with. You know, like I can deal with anybody, have a conversation, we text, whatever. But as far as letting somebody into my body, and not saying that we're not gonna all make mistakes, but I'm cautious of who I give my energy to. So before I get all off topic, to answer the question of how I first developed a relationship with God, that's what it was. It was not even a bad breakup. It was just like a situation. And little did I know, that church changed my life. It changed my mindset. I grew. This is before I moved to Atlanta. I've been planning to move to Atlanta when I was 18. But with this church, I grew so much mentally, spiritually, financially. So it's like a whole different focus. And even my friends, you know how, like, say it's a sale or a hookup. Be like, girl, I got this hookup. Let me tell you about it. Like, that's how I was with my spirituality. Like, that's how I was with my new relationship with God. Like, anytime my friends would go through something, you know how something work for you? You just want to be an advocate. Like, listen, like, come to my church. And on God, every time I would bring somebody to this church, it's like I would cry consistently every Sunday. And it's a little hole in the wall church, small. The spirit was filled in there. But when I would bring somebody else to the church, it's like it wouldn't be for me, it'd be for them. And they'll be in church crying, like, you know, and it'll make me feel good. Like, okay, God, like, you know, thank you for sharing that. Yeah. So it felt good that my friends was able to come to church, because it's one thing to tell somebody about it, but it's another thing when they get to experience the feeling of God, the spirit of God for themselves. So to answer the question, that's a long story short about how I developed the relationship with God and why I'm so consistent in going to church, because it fuels my spirit, starts me over for the week, and I can always relate to the sermons, and it's just like a reboot for me. We go through so much chaotic things throughout the week that Sunday is like my relaxation, me getting in tune with the spirit. So I'm gonna be answering more questions, you guys. Stay tuned. It might be a little delay, but that was the one question that stood out and that was very appealing to me and related to the introduction, since you guys are still getting to know me outside of Instagram. Be sure to subscribe, click the bell so you can get your notifications, and tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend. And also click the link in my bio and subscribe to Lovely Lashard. And I'll be posting makeup tutorials, little beauty hacks and beauty secrets and beauty tips. So thank you guys for watching.